Uh, I'm hoping you guys can see this. Hello and welcome to CiviCRM episode 10, our double-digit episode. So today I can't quite get the YouTube chat to work, so you'll probably be seeing it, but there's no chat going on, just a monkey holding a hammer. So I don't know what that's all about, but so today's session is going to be all about upgrading CiviCRM. So we've had a few requests on ideas.CiviCRM.TV about how doing sessions on how to upgrade CiviCRM. So what I'm going to do today, I have totally not done this on these servers on this system before. I'm not expecting any issues, and I'm going to try it on WordPress again. I'm doing a lot of these CiviCRM.TV sessions on WordPress because I don't do it much. So obviously I used to be quite heavily technical, and most of my time was spent on Drupal, and now obviously the business is kind of split between Drupal and WordPress, but I don't get to do much WordPress stuff. So these sessions I tend to do WordPress, and I think there's probably more consultants, stroke users, stroke admins who are WordPress who are not too familiar with Civi. So it's a good experience all around. So I guess the key thing is, as a consultancy, Veda is not just about WordPress. We're just as heavily into Drupal as we are WordPress. I just wanted to make that clear because it might come across as we are a WordPress consultancy, but that's not the case. Okay, so as I said, what we're going to do is upgrade Civi, and we're going to do it using the instructions on CiviCRM.org. And the reason I'm doing it that way is, again, we've been working with Civi for the last 10, 15 years, so we're doing it our way. We've always done it the way that we've done it. I've done upgrades the way that I do them, and we hardly ever have issues. So what I want to do today is just go through as though you guys would do, using the instructions that are provided, and just see how we get on, and if there's room for improvement, if there's some tips and hints we can provide during this session on how to do it. So Daniela's saying she's finding the monkey quite funny. I can't get rid of him, so he's going to be with us for the whole session. So enjoy him, I guess, is probably the best thing to do. All right, so without further ado, let's crack on. I've got a couple of windows, so you'll see me flicking between the browser, and also I've got a kind of terminal command line open. I'll clear the shell just so we. I'll just clear this, so see there's nothing in there. I was literally just logged in to my environment, and I've logged into my WordPress environment. It's the same environment that we use for all of our demos. So if I just go to administration console and system status, then you can see that I'm due an upgrade, or a few. So I am running 5.27.3 and we are up to 5.27.7. So the first few things I'm going to say, again, I think there's a difference between enterprise grade administration and small kind of sorry, I'm just reading some people saying the stream is not of good quality. My internet's been a bit poor. Like I say, in the UK, we're having another lockdown. So there's a lot of people at home doing homeschooling, etc., etc. So the stream might cut in and out, but I'm streaming the best that I can up to YouTube. So you'll have to bear with us. So just coming back to this. So in terms of upgrades, you've got often enterprise level upgrades, and then you've got upgrades for smaller installs, right? So where there may be a handful of users and a bit of downtime's okay, or the planning and extensions and customizations are not really enough to warrant a full kind of test cycle, right? So I don't need to get users involved, and I don't need to do too much around planning a full kind of migration test cycle, etc., etc. So today's session is all about a smaller upgrade. So Daniel is saying on the chat she can't see my face. I've deliberately hidden it on this one because I was trying to relay out the screens, but I've been replaced with a monkey with a hammer. Let's put it that way. It's probably better to look at. He's wearing his cap. I'm wearing my cap, and yeah, we are the monkeys. And the sun is coming right in onto the screen, so you probably won't be able to see much anyway. Right, so if we were doing this at enterprise level, it would be a totally different approach. I would not do it this way at all. I would perform the actual upgrade the same way, but the way that I'd implement it will be totally different, and the release notes and what we're expecting to see out the back of it would be totally different. So I'm doing it as though I'm running a small organization. I'm going to do an upgrade, and I'm doing it in a kind of production environment. Again, not what we would do in an enterprise support package environment. We just wouldn't do it that way. But if you're watching this, you're kind of probably at a point where you want to upgrade. You're not really comfortable. You're a little bit scared of it because there's a lot of talk of upgrades failing, and you might want to just watch someone else do it and see how complicated it is. The bad news is not as easy as going to your WordPress plugins and just hitting the upgrade. Do not do that. That's not going to result in a good experience. What you want to do is follow the CiviCRM upgrade process, because that's how you installed it. So you want to upgrade it in the same way. So that's the bad news. You can't do it that way. But the good news is not. The upgrades are much better. Obviously common sense prevails. Take a backup. So you can back up your Civi, you can back up your WordPress, and just make sure you've got them in a restorable fashion. Again, backups are of no use if you've never proved that you can restore a backup. So it's always good to use something that is restorable. And if you want, what we sometimes do is our staging environments will be a clone of production. So we might do that. So we might back up and restore into a staging environment. That's all working. We're happy. So we know that our backups are sound, and then you can trust your backup process. So again, I've seen people do backups before. I used to work for Oracle way back, and there's a guy who did an upgrade, backed up to tape. This was way back when that's how you did stuff. Never tested that backup was okay, and rebuilt a server, and that went pear-shaped. Went to get the backups, and then the tape drive wouldn't read the tape. So, that was an absolute disaster. We had to rebuild disk drives to get the backups. That's to the point that it got to. So, in this modern kind of world, that's not how you wouldn't end up in that situation. But you want to be at least sure that your backup is legit. So if you're doing a MySQL backup, check the log. Make sure that you check the export, check the resultant file. You can even just open it up in Vi and just check that the end of the file is a successful completion. There wasn't a failure in there. There's some very simple things you can do to just make sure that the backups you've got are okay. If you're on a panels environment, obviously you can run their backups and just take a snapshot. I don't like doing it that way because I'm a techie at heart. I like to know that I've got physical SQL files, backups of folders. I just like to know that I've got them, and I might put them in a couple of locations. If I'm doing it at that kind of level, again, at an enterprise level, we have automated routines that back up off-site, on-site, all kinds of stuff like that. So we don't need to worry about it. But like I say, I'm approaching it as though I'm a kind of small consultancy, or the first time I'm doing it. So how am I going to make this work? Right. So coming back to this, so I've got a few security patches and then a few other warnings and stuff. But I'm not too worried about that. So the security patches, the ones I'm missing are in the 527 range, but there's more than that because Civi's up to 533. So these securities are just up to in the 527 range. But actually, I want to bring my Civi up to 5.33, and the latest one is 5.33.2, right? So how do I do that? Right. So let's go to the CiviCRM, how to do an upgrade. I'm not going to read this from the beginning. It's as boring as hell, especially when you've done it like a million times. So we know we're going to do an upgrade. Great. The good thing about these documents and this kind of process is that if you do find a problem, you can always contribute back to the docs that you found it a little bit confusing, etc., etc. So we're going to go do the upgrades section. So I'm doing. Just go back there. So upgrades in general. So let's have a read of this. Keeping up to helps you take advantage and use it quickly. Yes and no. So there are many ways to get security updates. And in an enterprise environment where you've got 200, 300 users plus websites connected, all that stuff, just upgrading willy-nilly is not really an approach for a business critical system. So we may, in those environments, just apply security patches and reduce the potential to break the system or introduce new features or change existing functionality. So you might just apply security patches. So yes, it's keeping up to date, updated in a smaller implementation, yet is the easiest way to stay up to date, but that's not the only route. There are many ways to do it. The update steps are different depending on your CMS. Yeah, thank you. The upgrade steps are the same no matter what versions yes and no. There are some older versions where it's different, but I'm going to assume you're all up 5.12 onwards. So for us, yeah, it's all the same. If you are, so just as a word of advice, so if you are on a very old version of Civi, and it does happen, administrators leave or the people that set it up leave and nobody knows what to do, and then you're kind of brought in by an agency to try and help out. My advice there is to go in steps. So don't try and go from 4.4 up to 5.3, which is what we're on now. Don't try and do that. That's going to fail. That's like 99%. It's not going to work. So you want to go in stages in that case. So I might try and get from 4.4 to 5, or I might try and go to 4.4 to 4.7, because 4.7 was actually quite a good stable release, and then go up to 5. So I'll take it in steps. Now that doesn't mean I have to go live with 4.7. It just means that I'm going to upgrade in stages. So I'm going to do that 4.7 first, log in, test, just a quick check, make sure it's all smooth, back that up, and then carry on. Right. So that way it gives me a point in time to go back to. I'm not having to go right back to the beginning if there's an issue, because some of the updates, things changed quite considerably. So the upgrade process itself will fail. So that's my tip there. Before upgrading, ensure you have. Yeah, I mean, this can be a problem if you're on an environment where the MySQL versions are not quite up to date, but the upgrade processes are a lot better now. They do checks and they will tell you about stuff. Version specific. So this is quite handy. Like I say, if you've got, if you're going to different versions, then it's quite handy to know. So for instance here, 5.34, the way it's SMTP will change in 5.34. Okay, so what that's saying is that when we do that upgrade, probably our emailing is going to break. So that's really useful to know that, and it's telling me what I need to do before that. 5.29, I need to do the CiviCRM folder. This folder is created ways, yeah. Right, I'm not going to read this in detail. I haven't got much in my environment to worry about, but I would suggest you check this and just make sure that there's nothing specific in here that you need to worry about, or if there is, then you perform those actions as part of your upgrade. All right, back up your site. Yeah, we've said that. There's some instructions on how to back up, I think. Let's see. Yeah, it seems like quite good. Well, it's a bit short, but there's some tips on how to get your MySQL username and password, how to do a backup. I mean, for the sake of backing up, I just back up the entire HTML directory, or wherever your web root is. I just back the whole lot up, and then back up the databases, and that way you've got everything, and you're not kind of taking this risk of backing up just certain bits and missing something, or it fails halfway and you and you didn't realize, so it's all or nothing for me. Use a backup to create a copy of the site, which is what we were saying. So here, what we're doing is testing the backup. Does my backup, is it actually, is it legit? Will it work? Because no point having a backup that you haven't proofed. So test your upgraded process on it. So this is one option. So if I had time and I wouldn't say time. If I wasn't confident, then I might do that. So again, like, I'm approaching this as though I'm a one-man consultancy or a very small charity, and I'm kind of trying to just do the upgrade. What you have to think about doing it in a copied site first is, if that all works, I'm going to do that all again in the production site. I'm probably not going to test much in the copied site because I just don't have the resources needed to do it. So I don't have the time, we don't have the staff, we just don't have enough to do it. If there's some critical processes, like for instance donations, forms that are really important to me, or events I've got running at the time, then yes, I might do this and then make sure that those forms are working and everything works as it should do. But just bear in mind that it means that I've got to double up my effort. So if I'm in that position, I'm probably going to do an upgrade in situ, backup, make sure my backups can restore, and then upgrade my production site, run the tests I want to run. If it fails, I revert, and if it doesn't, then I'll leave it and keep it as it is. But there's so many different ways to do this that there's no wrong and right way. It's all balance of time, energy, effort, and how thorough you want to be, really. Troubleshoot. What does that mean? Troubleshoot. I thought that was pretty obvious that you're going to troubleshoot. Oh, okay. So it's talking about how to troubleshoot. Yeah, well, let's hope we're not going to have any of this. But if you do get issues with your backup, then stage one, restore your backups and get back. If you did it in live. If you didn't, then you've got a place there that you can start to look. Now, to reproduce it, you're going to have to do it again anyway. So you have to capture all this stuff at the time of failure. So there's some tips and stuff that you can do. Normally the backup will fail because the prep wasn't quite right. So either things that were needed to be done weren't done, site was moved at the same time, or there's normally a reason that this happens, that the actual full backup will fail. So here's giving me some tips on what I can do to get around a failed backup, a failed upgrade. Assuming my first point of call, obviously, if I'm trying to get my site back up, is just to restore it and be done with it, and then do it in a staging or a test environment and see exactly what the issue was. So where are we? Troubleshoot once your performance tests back, and then apply the same system. Yeah, in an ideal world, yes, that is what you would do. Let's put it that way. These steps are very demanding on your CMS. I don't know what that means. Demanding on your CMS, demanding on your resources, yes, but not on wider CMS. But anyway, all right. After upgrading, flush the caches, evaluate new permissions, update the resource things. It's making it seem like there's a lot of work here, doesn't it? I mean, a lot of this has got provisos on it. So update resource settings. So if I change directories, I need to do that. Update system workflow messages. Right. So this is, again, contentious. Like the templates in Civi, the workflow changes and more things are added as upgrades happen. So by default, when I upgrade, I'm not going to get the new templates because I might have changed mine. I might have done stuff to them. So Civi, to play it safe, will not implement those. What this is talking about is how you could implement them if you wanted. Again, it comes down to how much time do you want to put in to do this, how often are you running your upgrades. So it might be if you're running all point releases and trying to keep up to date, then you don't need to do this on every single time. You might do this on once a year, or when there's a big point upgrade. So when you go from 5.2 to 5.3, 5.3 or 5.4, etc., etc. You decide. I wouldn't necessarily do this every time because you're just adding kind of work that you don't necessarily need to do. But anyway, I'm sounding a bit controversial, so I'll leave it there. So I'm going to do a WordPress one. So make sure you have done the steps. I've done them, right? I've read it at least. Download the latest code. So let's go to the website. I'm gonna leave this one because I'm kind of 529. Yeah, kind of interested what's going to happen to mine. Troubleshooting I don't care about right now. So download 532. So let's copy this. So again, if you're not following, if you're not used to this, and I haven't done this for a while, so I'm just kind of remembering. So right click, copy the link address. That's going to give me 5.33.2 version of Civi. Let me just, sorry, I'm just going to check the chat to see there's nothing going on. No, just a test chat. All right. So where are we? So let's go to my so this is my server. I've logged in. I'm in the right place. This is where my my CiviCRM implementation lives in WordPress. So there's CiviCRM. I've got admin utilities in there, and another plugin or whatever. So any of the WordPress plugins that I add would live here. So I'm going to get this again. This is not the way I would do production environments. This is purely, you know, if I'm doing this and I want to do this the quickest and the easiest way, this is the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to do a wget. I'm going to get this zip file. That's got that. Lovely. All looks good. The size is about right, and the naming is the file that I wanted. All right, so far so good. What do I do next? Select. Yes, I did that. Save that to your WP content. So have I got that? Yeah, WP content plugins. That's where I've saved it to. Great. For localization, so I'm not using it local because it's a test, not a demo environment. So I haven't got any localization that I'm too worried about at this point. But if I did, then I can get localization. So for those that don't know, localization, if I could say it, gives you translations in files. So, for instance, where the word check, you know, the American implementation of Civi spells it check as in CHECK. In the UK, it's check CHEQUE. So the localization will, in theory, make that translation. That doesn't always, because it's not that simple, but you know, that's why you would run the localization, so you're getting a kind of flavor of Civi to your country. All right, so I don't have it. If I did, I could pull a localization, put it into the right place, and then turn it on in Civi. So again, you know, the point of this video is how to do the upgrade. So we try and stick to that. If anybody wants to see any of this localization, how would you do localization, or any of this stuff, just feel free to propose it on ideas.CiviCRM.TV. Prepare WordPress. So before, make sure you have logged into WordPress as an administrator. Yes, I have. So I'm in there. Do not log out until the entire process is complete, or else your world will crumble. The before upgrade step describes backing up everything. Yeah, I'm going to assume I've done that. I haven't actually. I'm running a virtual environment, so I've got the whole server backed up, so it's not, you know, worst case scenario. I'm just going to go back to that. In it, we also need to actually use the Civi as it is due. In addition to this important safeguard, we also need to actually use as it is during the upgrade. I have no idea what that is trying to say to me. So I'm just going to skip over it because I don't know what that's, you know, I've backed up everything. What's this about? The installer in 4.7, and that's, I'm not 4.7, I'm on the 5s. Copy a file when we start up the upgrade. Shall we do that? Let's do that. So up. So either I've got it or I haven't. But anyway, let's I won't do that. So CP. Sorry, my phone was going there. So I'm just going to stick it in the temp directory for now. And I'm just going to make sure that I've got it in there without actually exposing it. Okay, so I have that. I have backup of my CiviCRM settings file in there in a temp directory. Normally I do it slightly different, but I don't want to show the detail of that file out on the session. That's why I've kind of done it that way. Copy this. I have also, if you're using settings, location, make a copy of this. I'm not, so I don't need to do that, but if I was, I would. Back up your existing archiving or hosting it to your local computer. It's confusing, isn't it? Because I've backed everything up, but when am I now backing up individual components? I'm not going to do this because I've already backed everything up, so why am I backing up again? Back up your existing. You know, let's go over that. That's fine. Now upgrade the file system. Make sure you have a good backup. How many times? Delete this. So make sure I got this right. WP content plugins CiviCRM. So where am I? WP content plugins. Yes, this is where I am. So it's the CiviCRM folder that they want me to remove. So again, I wouldn't advise this, but you know, this is my test play environment, so it's fine. So I'm going to get rid of the CiviCRM directory. So that's gone. Right. Install the new files. So cd to the plugins. That's where I am. I'm there. Unzip my okay. So that's done. Now everything's owned by root, so I don't want that. Okay, so it's better. So everything is now owned by Apache and part of the Apache Group. So that's what I'd want. 4.6 and earlier, I'm not doing that. If you are using, I thought you had to use, but anyway, all right. So, sorry, still my settings location. So I'm not using it, so it doesn't matter. Install localization files. Again, in my environment, I'm not doing that. Clear caches. So let's do this. So I'm going to navigate to the directory. So the cache directory just has Smarty templates and things, or PHP files, or whatever that have been used by CiviCRM in the past. So that means it doesn't need to recompile those elements, and it can use the cache to pull the results of that execution rather than recompiling the template again, etc., etc. So I will let's just get rid of everything. Again, people will cringe, the Unix guys, but you know, I am here. I am doing it in my directory, and I've been doing this a long time, so it's a test environment, so I know what I'm doing. So that is now empty. Okay, copy back your extensions. I don't really have any extensions. If I do, then I'm going to show you. Then I'll show you what to do if it's a kind of broken site. So we'll try and fix it. I'm just trying to see, did it say backup extensions before? CiviCRM files, back up your existing database, back up your thing directory, remove CiviCRM files. Not seeing anything about backing up extensions. I mean, normally we have the path outside of that anyway, so I wouldn't have, you know, if your extension's path outside of the CiviCRM directory, then why would you need to back them up? But anyway, let's just continue. So localization, we're not going to do back up your extensions. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, copy back your extensions. So my extensions are outside of that directory, so I'm not, you know, let's, I think we'll find out. Upgrade the database. Woo! So let's go. Let's copy. No, I don't want to copy it because it's going to give me all that crap at the beginning. There's a reset one in there. So that's my. So reset equals 1. So in theory, this is going to start my upgrade process. It's probably not going to work, but let's see. Warning. So starting with version 5.2.9. Subtle changes to the calculation of CiviCRM. To ensure smooth upgrade, please review the following table. All paths and URLs should appear the same. If there is any discrepancy, consult the upgrade. So, you know, so CiviCRM is written by quite technical people, right? Who are absolutely brilliant in what they do. But this is a bit confusing, right? So, what am I supposed to compare to what? Right, so I think this is saying in 5.2.8 it would have been this. I wasn't even running 5.2.8. That's the funny thing. So and in 5.2.9 it's going to be that, and the same here. 5.2.8 and the 5.2.9 is going to be that. So those all look fine to me. If I read this and tried to compare that to that, then it's obviously different. But I don't think that's what this is telling me to do. It's saying here's the physical file system path, here's the URL, and these all want to be the same, which they are. So this looks fine. The default copies of templates list will handle new features your installation has customized, and you will not be able to apply this manually after. Click here for detailed instructions. Yeah, so that's the stuff we talked about. I don't remember doing customizations to it. Oh, maybe during when I was doing the Civi rules demo. The default copies handle. Okay, fine. I'm fine with that. There's nothing in there to worry about. There's quite a lot of information there to take, right? So I can see why people freak out about doing an upgrade. I want to do it. Yes, I'm feeling brave. Check in. So the good thing there is this. I can see where I'm getting to. So that's 5.28 alpha 1, beta 5.29. 5.29, 5.29, 5.3. So we're getting up through it quite quickly. 5.31, and this is the bit that can take time if your hosting is not really up to it, or is the kind of real minimal hosting that you can get with Civi running. Then this bit can take absolutely hours if you've got a decent sized database. And when I say decent size, 20 or 30,000 records. It's kind of small. So if it's 100,000 plus records, contacts, plus 500,000, 1 million contributions, again, not big, not massive, but that can end up taking a long time. So, another tip would be make sure you have enough time for your upgrade, so that it's not something you want to start at 10 p.m. and say, well, I'll be done by 11. Sometimes you can really get stuck in there. So there's some of the reasons for doing it in a test environment. What it does mean is your test environment, you want to have a decent capacity in terms of CPU power, hosting, where it is, etc. It wants to be roughly the equivalent of your production environment. Otherwise, you're not really testing a like for like. So sometimes the test environments, people will copy it locally and run an upgrade. Well, your PC is probably a lot more powerful than the server you've got it on in terms of how much memory and stuff you've got allocations for. So sometimes you can get that false sense of security that it all went through fine, but then when you try and do it on the server itself, there's PHP's set differently, or MySQL is not really tuned correctly, and you end up with issues. So anyway, that seems to have all gone cleanly, right? Which is amazing. So let's go in and see if it really did work. So kind of basic testing, go into Civi, it's all looking fine. I haven't defaulted my mailbox. Everything looks a bit big because I've zoomed in. I'm seeing that I'm on 5.3.2. So I'm just going to go through and say, can you do a system status on me? 7, I think, is it? Did I miss a step? Let's see. Oh. Post upgrade. So look, so I did everything it asked me to do. Why is that page not working? So I didn't change directories. I'm not doing the templates. I don't care about them. Weird. So let's try this way. So something is definitely broken here. Okay, so I'm going to try. So we've got a broken site. In theory, we've got a bit of a broken site, right? So let's try some random stuff. So let's clean up the caches. Let's just see. Caches are cleared. I'm just wondering if this is the WordPress issue. Wasn't expecting this to happen, so this is interesting. Okie dokie. What else can we try? Debugging and error handling. So what's the position? We're all good there. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let's see if any of the pages are working. Okay, so admin pages look like they're okay. Let's try to go into thing. Seems okay. Gonna save it. Gonna save okay. Yeah. So let's try. So search is okay. Contacts are coming up okay. Okay, so it seems like certain pages. So what I'm going to try is let's just log out and log back in. I know it sounds a bit silly. So one of the reasons this could be happening is because there was a big change to WordPress and the way it handled things, and that I know that broke stuff, and I don't know what version of WordPress I was on at the time. So let's just see if logging out and logging back in sorts it out. So that page worked before. I didn't go into the dashboards ever actually. Yeah, it's really strange. Maybe my membership section never actually worked. So let's just go new email. Yeah, the rest of my site seems okay. Events dashboard. That's okay. Maybe I just don't have any memberships, right? So let's have a look. Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't. So that's a red herring. It's not that. Everything was working fine. So the system seems fine. It's just I don't have any data. This is because it's a demo system without any data in it. I didn't install the CiviCRM data in it. But the system status and warnings. Oh, there you go. So it's probably just caught up with where we're at in the system. But yeah, you can see now we're up to date. All our extensions are up to date. The cron ran just now. So it might have been the cron was running and just cleared stuff up. PHP version's fine. Everything looks good. I haven't finished my primary setups, etc., etc. So hopefully that's given you enough of an insight. It's not as scary. I mean, like I say, the upgrades are a lot more stable than they used to be way back when Civi first kind of came about. It was a much more risky process, but now, especially from running a consultancy, you kind of see where things go wrong and where issues are, and we don't generally see too many upgrade style issues. You do if there's the WordPress upgrade and they're not quite compatible, or a Drupal 7 to 8, things like that. They're where you need to be a bit more careful. But if you're kind of small, new to the Civi consultancy, it's not as simple as a straightforward upgrade. But it's not. Once you've done it a couple of times, it's really not scary, and it's nothing to worry about. And the better you get with it, the more comfortable you get with it, the less time you need to spend on it. Funnily enough, because you're not so worried, and you don't need to keep redoing your backup processes. That you just have everything set and ready to go. So hopefully that was useful. We won't do the Drupal one. It's exactly the same. It's just different paths. You can't do an automated one in Drupal either, so it's the same process. And I would just download the Drupal version of Civi and stick it into the site as default wherever I've got Civi installed. So there's very little difference between. There's no point doing them. I think that's it. Let's just so that's me. That's my messy kitchen still, and we've been through this before. I'm not going to change that. So, and sorry about the chat not working. There tends not to be too many people on the chat anyway, so we might just lose that and use that real estate for something else. So hopefully that was useful to you guys. Please do update or post your suggestions into ideas.CiviCRM.TV, and we'll be definitely doing these every fortnight. We'll try and keep them to half an hour, 40 minutes, because that needs it takes less resource from our side, as well as hopefully ending up with more watchable content. Okie doke. So thank you very much, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.